It's that time again. It's time for your daily roundup of the Masters second round. It went down quite well, I thought, Ben. There was a few surprises.
So there was some pretty big surprises. Certainly, I think Tom Maudsley's emphatic victory on table one was quite a good one.
Well done, Tom.
I think Dan and Haristo had a good result as well, and the other big result was Jack Armstrong. So what we'll do is we're going to...
I think actually you've missed one good result as well, a certain Wildman.
Yeah, Mr. Pretty in Pink, Mark Wildman, who you can see again on the camera. He's up here somewhere this time. There we go. You can see him in the background. He had a good turnaround against Keith. So we've got some questions that came through from listeners who've been, watchers I suppose, on YouTube.
Watchers, yeah, we're now live.
A few watchers that have come through, and we're going to address them. So Hugh Allen asks, how did Nick manage to get up against Ben after we reported he had a bad start in round one, didn't he? So I think what had happened was Ben put his storm banner up to get a load of Nick's chaff, but it's only like 300 or 400 points. Nick managed to get the Plague Furnace, including the BSB that was in the unit. So, you know, the Furnace, the two characters, it's about 600-700 points. So that was where the points difference came from. And that was pretty much all that died in the game. Some of Nick's chaff and Ben's Plague Furnace unit.
Right, okay. But that is what won him the game. So go after the chaff. I agree with that. I try and do that myself.
So yeah, it was good. Ben went for the chaff, got some, but the Furnace is worth more. So, you know. And also I think he got a few dwellers off on it before he engaged it as well to kill them.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Thin the models out. So that was answer Hugh's question of how he got up a bit.
Thanks for your question.
And the next one in, Gareth.
Marcus asks how Dan went against Keith.
Yeah. So what he wanted to know was first what result was, and then also how it came to be, because he was asking if Dan had just cannonballed the Vampire Lord. And I think what happened, he managed to shoot the Knight unit down enough, so that eventually the Vampire Lord had to charge out on his own, but it left him vulnerable, and I think the Demiglyph Knights actually killed the Vampire Lord in the end. Or he killed the Demiglyphs and left him in the open. So he was put in a position where he couldn't get a look at Sir, so he had to commit to a combat, and eventually the combat went bad for him.
Right, so it's in combat he gets to look out Sir anything but a 1.
No, sorry, if he's in a unit he gets to look at Sir.
Yeah.
But once he charged into combat and then became unengaged and stood on his own, that was when he went down. I'm not sure if the combat killed him or the cannons killed him, but he was put in a position where he had to commit his lord and eventually lost him.
Okay, you see, I need to remember this for my own vampire army. Don't let that shit happen.
So how are you getting on with this? Because
I'm getting on really, really well, actually. Should we just tell the people what we've done?
So if you want to go and get the models, so Gareth's been doing some painting. We actually, you might have seen on the Facebook photos, we've got a few guys doing some modelling here as well, so all different stuff going on. And here he is, his back, and one Mortis engine. So it has been pointed out that of all the models in a vampire army that you might want to start with, Mortis engine might not have been the best bet, but he's giving it a go, starting with the big one and seeing how he goes from there.
It's true. This is truly the first model I have ever put together in terms of trimming off the sprues on my own, that is, shaving and filing down, and then sticking together with this. It's not glue. It's like it melts it.
Yeah, it's
what is it?
Just plastic glue, polycement.
Right. Yeah, that's it, polycement stuff. And I've had to put it together, I've had to trim it, I've had to make sure it goes in the right place, and I've put little extra heads and things on. That's the word I'm looking for. I haven't necessarily done it to the letter, so is that called a modified model? Have I modified it?
Converted it.
Yeah, I've converted it myself. I've had a lot of fun doing it, and this is how I'm whiling away the time while all the boys are playing. So
yeah, there's a long time between, you know, you sat around for a lot, aren't you, when you're covering it?
Basically. But yeah, I agree to so many people's comments that this is probably not the best model to have started on. But I'm doing it, I've committed, and I'm going to go to Mikey to paint it, so fingers crossed. But run us down, Ben, what's been happening today?
Yeah, so round 2, got some good results. Tom Maudsley played against Matt Watkinson on table 1. He was an ogre off. Tom's Butcher rolled, he's on death, and he rolled the Purple Sun again. And then his third game on table 1 against Dan Thomas, he's also rolled it again, but I think he's changed it to the default this time.
You see, Purple Sun is a really, really good spell. You made a comment to him that Purple Sun was going to win in the tournament. Do you think it's the wrong decision for him not to take it?
So I always take Purple Sun when I use it because even against things like elves that are high initiative, it still goes through a lot of models and it should clear a lot of models out. And things like demigryphs, I think they're initiative 3 or 4, you know, they're still going to kill a couple of them, and I think it's worth it. However, with ogres, it might not be worth the risk of the misfire, but I don't know, maybe Dan's got 3 war machines, you see, and the Purple Sun can get rid of them pretty quick. I'd have gone for it. Tom hasn't. You know, Tom's playing the Masters, I'm not, so we'll see what happens.
Awesome.
So, Tom versus Matt, it was an 18-2 to Tom. By turn 6, Matt hadn't actually scored any points, so big win in the end to Tom.
Well done, Tom.
On table 2, we had Haristo versus Dan. It looked like it was just going to be a 10-10 boring draw from the start, but actually it was a 10-10 draw, but a lot happened. They had a long-range shooting battle, which Dan got up on. A big comet come down as well and cleaned up the war machines, from what I saw. Ended with Haristo having his warriors and 2 lords, and Dan not wanting to go and engage. But Dan was up on victory points, but with the comet score, it brought it back down to a 10-10. So,
and who initiated the comet?
So Dan cast the comet above the dwarf army, and it had four counters on it, so 4 magic phases before it came down.
Wow.
So when it did come down, it killed a lot of stuff.
It was strong.
Yeah. Okay, table 3 we had Chris Legg versus, we had a lesbian versus a dwarf.
I apologise for my comments, guys, if I offended anyone. Didn't mean to.
So Chris managed to get his Vampire Lords unit into, it looked like he was going down the flank of the dwarf army. And then a unit of Vargas failed a leadership 10 with a reroll frenzy test to have to charge as well. And because the 2 units had to engage, instead of going straight in with the vampires, he had to be sort of spread across, which meant that overruns from the night bus put him in the front of the hammerer unit. Eventually all the knights died, but the Vampire Lord killed all the hammerers, the Dwarf Lord, the BSB, the Quarrelers that went in the flank, and then the final round of shooting, he was too close to the stone throwers for him to get a clean shot because they got a minimum range of 12 inches. So
okay.
That was an 11-9 to Chris. And,
so did his Vampire Lord survive?
Vampire Lord survived.
There you go, good old Vampire Lord.
Nick versus Will.
Yep.
I asked him, both of them, what happened, and Nick said he played for a draw and got the draw. Will says he just shoved it at him and nothing really happened. So it looked to me like Nick knew he had a weaker list, but a bigger comp score. So he was playing in that, you know. He knew he could give away 400 points and still be a 10-10, and that's exactly what happened. So Nick was happy with the 10. Will, I don't really know what Will's thoughts on the game were. He didn't really make himself clear, but
he's quite quiet today. You can usually hear him shouting or something. He doesn't seem to have his va-va-vum. Maybe because he's looking like a European Santa Claus. I'm not quite sure there, but hopefully he gets his mojo.
So next up we had Jack Armstrong versus Lorenzo. Now, Jack tweeted midway through this game saying the gut star's got in the building, he's not going to get a big win. But Jack killed everything else in the army and just left the unit in the building for a 19-1 win. So big win to Jack.
That's fantastic. That's really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. Very good result there for Jack.
Yeah.
So next up we've got Ben versus Raph, and I was called to this table like 4 times in the first 2 turns, just because there was so many charges and so many units and flea paths and units going through units and stopping on the board and within an inch of it. But it was fine. It all happened in the first few turns, and then it was the last few turns of Ben chasing down all the units that had fled. Came down to Ben needing a redirect test for the Plague Furnace to charge one of the slans with an overrun into the second slan.
Right.
And he failed the Leadership 9 test with a reroll and failed that test, couldn't charge. So I think the slans were kept safe, and that's why it was a 16-4 and not a 20.
Okay. Raph was looking a little bit sad during this game, like he wasn't fully there. Committed.
I think the Skaven versus Lizardmen matchup is quite bad. Ben off camera's going, I did that to him, made him look sad. The Skaven versus Lizardmen matchup is actually quite good for the Skaven.
Right, okay.
I don't think it's as bad as Raph in his head thinks it is. So Raph talks himself into a bad game, I think, whenever he plays the Skaven.
Okay.
So he always does okay, but it's a scramble, and it literally is every turn you're scrambling to keep points safe and to pick up small points throughout the game. And I don't know if that's Raph's style, but if he's playing Lizardmen, it's certainly a style that he's going to have to get used to, because that's how them games go.
Maybe he needs a bit of PMT, no, not PMT, PMA, positive mental attitude, not
definitely.
PMT.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that. Next up, we've got Mo versus Mikey.
Awesome.
And I've got some great photos from this game. There's a lot went on. I think the Iron Blaster blew up, but then the Profits on the Beltaurus blew up, and then 4 Mournfang, I think, got charged by the Bull Centaurs, and that was a grind for a few turns, and then the Centaurs ran away. So it's 6 Bull Centaurs and 2 Taraks. I think nearly 1,000 points, maybe not that much. Quite a few points. We were ran down by the Mournfangs, so it's a big swing. So in the end, it was a 16 to Mikey.
How do you think?
16 to Mo.
16 to Mo. Oh, right, okay. Well, that kind of answers my next question. How do you think he's doing with a completely borrowed army and borrowed list? Seems like he's doing all right.
Yeah, well, he had 1 bad one, he's had 1 good one, so yeah, not too bad.
And I think from what he was saying to me, this was his first win at any Masters of game. So
Mo's first
win at any.
So Mo came last year and I think he got a draw or 2 draws, but no wins, and that was with his Wood Elves. He was using a list with a lot of War Dancers, a lot of Beast Magic, and a lot of War Dancer heroes. So he's going for the Savage Beast. So all the characters get extra 3 strength, extra 3 attack, and there's like 5 or 6 heroes in there.
Oh right, okay.
A lot of attacks.
So Warhammer Ethnic's doing quite well so far. We like it. Well done, mate.
Thumbs up from Mo. Okay, and on the last table, our favourite Mark.
Got Keith, who owns Wilkinson's, all of the shops.
All of the Wilkinsons.
Yeah.
I don't know how he has time to play Warhammer when he's got to deal with all them shops.
Yeah, and low prices every day.
Yes. Mark got 17-3. It looked, Mark had pink cheeks out by the end of turn 1 because Keith got the first turn and ran everything full speed at the Tomb King Garden. And then I don't really know what happened. Both of them were moaning about dice. Well, Keith was moaning about dice. Mark was just laughing, and I think it just all fell apart for Keith. I kind of think he might have made some bad decisions, like committing a depleted knight unit to fight the Necro Knights.
Okay.
When if Mark rolls well with a few poisons or a few killing blows, he can really do some damage to the knights and get some big points. And that's kind of what happened. So,
I'm just glad that he's got a win. I'm just glad that he's got not his mojo back. He's a bit more PMA, positive mental attitude, and he's getting there ready to not. So what's the opposite of submarining? Or is it submarining when you come back up?
He's gone down, he's going to come back up.
Yeah, so he is submarining.
The Dom Hook favourite, that one is.
The Ginger, yeah.